Alright, I'll show you what happened in the replay. Alright, so the strategy in this lineup is like, um, is basically Rubik and Chen will pump up a creep, uh, with using Holy Persuasion, because it gives 300 health. They will pump up a creep to as high as possible before Roshan spawns, and then Rubik will get like Cling Salt and he'll eat it, and then he has like a shit ton of damage. But it's not like as simple as that. I mean, in the start, you want to get like the best possible timing. When you want to start persuasion and whatever as fast as you possibly can. Yeah, so like people start TPing mid and they start feeding to get the gold and experience faster for the Rubik and the Chen, because they need to start cycling together as fast as they possibly can. There's a lot of execution in this. And then before people can start hitting buckets, Chen and Rubik will get together, and then by the time creeps spawn, Chen should hit level 7. See? Just in time for it to hit level 7, and then they steal and they start doing work here. They'll just keep doing this over and over, and they get refresher as soon as they can. I'm just showing how we got Platinum Roshan. So yeah, so the courier is in use, and meanwhile the other people will be collecting gold by doing both of this, hitting both buckets, and everyone else will just look for centaurs, wolves, and harpy creeps. Harpy creeps because they have a lot of night vision, and you need vision of your opponent for Rubik to steal spells later. I'll show what happens later. See here, we both buy mana boots, and our refresher is coming on the courier in time. Like, this is like maximum efficiency. This is the fastest like you can get your refresher and shit in time. And you're obviously getting gold over time, and this just keeps going on, and you just keep refreshing and pumping shit up while people are collecting centaurs and wolves. See, you've got some harpy creeps here too, a lot of wolves and centaurs for aura. Okay, so this is the creep health right now. Like, it keeps getting pumped up, see that? Every time they each other steal it, it gets 300 more health. So we keep doing this, and then one guy will be kiting Roshan and whatever once he spawns. Oh yeah, we also find a DD rune. Like, we keep burning runes until we get a DD somewhere, either on top or bottom. This is for later. So yeah, Roshan is all the way here. Actually, Roshan should be like right here right now, and they should be smoked up so that it takes less time for him to travel there. So we keep doing this over and over. Blah blah blah, and then the whole thing where Roshan goes in the middle starts, right? That thing. And then but then we go back to mid lane and keep doing, because you have 5 minutes before it begins. Yeah. And then at 19 minutes, Rubik, I'm the one who's actually playing Rubik here. I pick up my DD, because then you have to start by 21, so I have the time on my double damage here. Okay, basically, alright, this is the problem with Rubik and Chen, why people couldn't do it before. When you steal a different spell with Rubik, this creep dies, because it was under Rubik's control, right? But what people found out is that if Chen takes a creep back and Rubik steals another creep with Holy Persuasion, and then he steals another spell, the last creep that he stole will be the one that dies. So this creep won't die. So we keep doing this until we have enough time. Alright, and then Clinks comes. He drops his Necro Book, and then Chen takes back the creep. And then Rubik takes... Alright, okay. And then Rubik will take the Necro Book after. Because we still have time. Like, we have 30 seconds before we start. Try to maximize as much health as possible on that creep. Then the Rubik takes this creep, and then he steals the Klink's ultimate. And then we eat that creep, and look at Rubik's health now. 36k, and the damage is actually bugged. Like, this is not the exact damage because like there's too many numbers that it's really bugged. When this Rubik crits, he crits for like 39k or some shit. Alright, so your allies on Rubik's team is Wisp. Wisp gives Tether and it slows down Roshan 100% slow. Slaughter for the amp damage and Medallion. Venge, he gives Vengeance Aura to the Rubik, which is 36% of your base damage, and Klink's ultimate is actually added as base damage, so you get all that damage, like 36% more. And then you got Magnus, who gives 50% base damage as well. So he gets even more damage for that. And then the opponent is Klinks. You need Klinks in this lineup to, for the ultimate. You need Chen on the opposite team to pump the creep up. Alchemist is to steal his ultimate, because then his BAT gets reduced like crazy and it does more damage. Sven to steal his ultimate, because you get 200% more for base damage. And you got Undying to tank, because he amplifies 20% damage onto Roshan. Or what is that, max 20%? Max, no, 30% amp damage on Roshan. And Rubik will steal that too. Well, for the downtime, so it's always up for 30%. So basically, Rubik has to steal 4 spells. He has to steal Alchemist, Sven, Undying, and Klinks, because this ultimate will drop off unless you eat another creep again. So before this ult drops off, you need to eat another creep so that it refreshes the cooldown. So in this strategy, if at any point Rubik loses Death Pact, it's game over for on this Roshan shit. Alright, so let's see here. Now we'll watch what happens here. So like, okay, alright, I should probably explain to the item choices. Alright, so there are going to be 3 heroes tanking: Undying, Rubik, and Wisp. You have only 3 heroes because if you have 4, he starts to cast Wave of Force, and Wave of Force is basically a Deafening Blast, where you need to it's just like Deafening Blast, like Invoker's Deafening Blast. You can't attack, you can't do shit, and that really ruins everything. So you only have 3 people tanking. And Rubik will be the only hero doing damage, because this Rubik does more damage than 10 heroes. With all the buffs that he gets. And the item choices here is 2 Mjolnirs, 3 crits, because this is like the most optimal shit. And in the start, it's going to be Undying tanking, because he doesn't deal so much damage. But as he levels up, he starts to deal more damage, and then Rubik needs to start tanking later. And that's why he has butterflies in his stash, because you can swap out stash items in between whenever you want. So he swaps out the 2 butterflies instead of the Mjolnirs. The Mask of Manus you use, and then you put in a Daedalus instead of a Mjolnir, because you get like max attack speed once you use Mom, and then you put in the crit for the extra damage. Like, this shit needs to be microed really well to maximize how much damage you can deal. That's something a lot of people didn't do, and that's why they couldn't like reach our time too. But our positioning and stuff is really, really good. Like, you can see where people are positioned so that Rubik can steal spells really easy. Alchemist will always be standing here, Sven will be standing here, and the Klinks will always be standing here, so that the Rubik is capable of stealing all the spells and microing everything well. Then you got the Scent. Oh yeah, and also Wolf Creep too. Wolf Creep also gives 30% more damage to the Rubik base damage. So we just start, and we used it. By the way, if you remember, we had a double damage earlier, right? We had a double damage that we just used. We use that, and then we sell the bottle for like a Mask of Madness or whatever. I think that's what I sold it for. Yeah, I sold it for the Mom after I used the DD. So we just go in from the start. So we steal Alchemist, ult, go in, steal Sven, ult, and then steal Death Pact. We pause for some shit, whatever. But yeah, so basically the Death Pact, we use it on Necro Books. the other guys who are standing on the outside will constantly bring in necro books close to the Rubik so that he can steal it. So we go like I did something like Alchemist ult, and then I steal Sven ult, and then I steal Undying ult, and then I stole Klink's ult. And in between that, you see, okay, like in between that, I will swap in my Mask of Madness, and then swap in a crit, and I leave my Mjolnir away until my Mask of Madness basically runs out, and then I put my Mjolnir back in. See, um, in between all that shit, whenever I'm hitting this guy. The other guys are just gonna be standing on the outside, and they put in. They have basically 6 hearts, and they put in. They will put in Blade Mail and Mask of Madness before the Sunstrike comes. Hold on, I'll show you the Sunstrike. Okay, you saw that, right? Wait. I should probably slow it down. Okay, so when Roshan comes, he'll cast Sunstrike on all these units here, right? And we don't actually need to use Blade Mail yet, but I'll show you later actually what we do with the other heroes. So the other heroes are going to be on the outside range so that he doesn't cast Wave of Force, which is Deafening Blast basically. So we need to, the main point in the strategy is that we need to keep up all the buffs from the opponent on the Rubik, and he can't lose Death Pact ever. This spell can never run out, or we basically lose. Okay, I think at this point we start using Blade Mails. Okay, you see this? People used Mom already, and then they will swap in the Blade Mail. Like here, look. He used Mom already, and then he swapped in the Blade Mail. And this Apocalypse does 3,000 damage. And if we Blade Mail it, we deal an extra 3,900 damage to Roshan. And with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, okay. Magnus died here, which was really bad. That was one of his mistakes. The only mistake he made in this game. 6, and then this guy 7. Like we have 7 people using Blade Mail, which is 3,900 damage extra that we can deal to Roshan. So yeah, basically has a lot to do with just microing Alk, Sven, Undying, and then Klingsalt together, and then swapping in items whenever we need it. And when it goes, and then so we swap in Mom, use Mom, put in Daedalus while we have the attack speed from Mom, and then put in the Mjolnir back to optimize all the damage we can do. And then the later it goes, this guy, this Roshan, starts to deal damage. At this point, the Rubik is the one tanking because the other heroes start to get two-shotted. Like Undying gets two-shotted at this point. So we have Rubik tanking. And what I do in these scenarios is when I have my 2 butterflies, in between attacks, I will normally put in my butterfly if I need it. Like I swap my shit, and then see, I put in the butterfly before I get attacked to reduce the chances. Because what happens is when Roshan attacks you, he will knock you back. And if he knocks you back, you're screwed because you start to lose damage. So that's why you need the butterflies. So before he attacks, I'm getting my butterfly. But like the Roshan attacks really slow because we have Undying with Skadi, Shivas, and SNY hitting him. And all those debuffs slow his attack speed like crazy, so it's like extremely slow motion. But let's not forget, during all this time we still need to get all our spells in. So basically, the strategy is all about execution. Whoever can keep up all these spells and can deal maximum amount of damage. And to deal maximum amount of damage, you have to basically cycle through all this shit. I think if I went again, I would actually cycle Aghanims while I have 5-second cooldown on spell steal. For maybe a Daedalus or something. Like that's one thing I didn't do since last night. We ran at like 12 o'clock because people had Thanksgiving and they couldn't play today. So we're like, whatever, we win, we don't, and then we somehow won, even though everyone else had like a shit ton of time to play and they could watch our replay from Psycho 13. So we won like Psycho 13 and 14. But yeah, people like a lot of people that were running it, they weren't swapping items in, they weren't positioning their heroes properly so people don't die. Like look at our positioning, it's absolutely perfect where everyone else is standing. Magnus will come in for empower when needed. Rubik will go like like I said, I'll go Alk, Sven, Undying, and then Clinks. And these guys never moved. Like whenever this Roshan starts moving, they will adjust themselves so they're not in range to get blasted. So people like whoever had the best runs and had the most optimal DPS, you know, swapping in items and not dropping the Clinks ult, the Clinks buff. Like this, sometimes this gets really close, like 3 seconds or whatever, and we'll pause to call that we need, you know, Clinks buff, or we need Necro books when we really need it. So the way we did it, we had like 100% uptime on almost all our spells. Cause like all this shit doesn't last very long. It's like 25 seconds. It's pretty decent. 25 seconds, 25 seconds. This is also 25 seconds, or no, 30 seconds, and then this is 35 seconds. So you have some pretty decent time as long as you cast your spell steal right away and you casting your ultimate before your other spell comes to you. You have like a lot of good time. But if people weren't doing all that shit, then they would never beat our record. I don't think anybody. I think the highest people got to like was 60, and on cycle 13 we got level 64, and on cycle 14 we got level 68, and like that's good enough. Nobody will even reach level 60 using the same strategy we did. So, and then if we did it again, and if I was to swap out Aghanims during my 5-second cooldown, I think we could even get to like cycle 74 or some shit like that. Ursa is not good because it's less damage than Alchemist, Sven, Undying, and those, apart from those three guys, everything else is super crucial. Chen and Clinks. Ursa does not provide more damage than 30% amp damage from this guy, Alchemist, BAT, and Sven 200%. We like one time actually, one cycle, we got the highest time 2 minutes after the cycle ended, and we were like super screwed. Orchid doesn't do anything. It does nothing. Basically this is optimal. We like Sunken. Basically he's a genius. Like this guy knows what he's talking about most of the time. Like he got all this shit down, you know, all the damage, how we can do good shit and whatever. And then like a lot of times we have some good strategy, so we don't even need to like do everything 100% right, like most optimal, you know, way of casting spells and everything. But like when we have a good strategy and we cast most optimal spells, like you just become unbeatable. Like people try to copy our shit, but nobody understood everything that we knew, right? So it's hard for them. But now it doesn't matter because Dire Tide is over and we won. We won. I'm actually surprised. Like I did a lot of runs and then I was so sad I didn't get any, and then suddenly like cycle 13 comes and cycle 14. Like cycle 12 was the most dumbest shit ever. In cycle 12, people were killing Roshan by blade mailing the Roshan end timer thing, like whatever it was called. Like when Roshan runs to 0-0, he does this deafening blast that's basically ends the game, but apparently you can blade mail that, and it was like some kind of retarded bug, and people just bugged the shit out of that, and like they just died doing that. So the Roshan kept dying over and over like that, and it wasn't even fair play whatsoever. That shit where you win a career by blade mailing the end Roshan and there's like nothing, no skill involved in that. You have like Rubik and a Shadow Priest who just grave each other and then fucking blink in with blade mail on and just keep leveling up, and then they fix that problem. Like basically after every cycle, if there's a bug, they will fix it. In this cycle, there's no bug here. Like none of this is a bug. This is like basically how everything was meant for spells to be. so it's kind of one fair and square. So we did what we needed to. And we obviously have extra wolves and shit for damage and stuff like that. So basically, like as we got to level 68, we start running out of damage. Like as you hit level 60, you start running out of damage. Like the amount, there's a set amount of damage Rubik can deal, right? So obviously, the higher Roshan goes, the longer he takes to kill, and you get less time to. So like basically, with what we were doing, we the maximum we were able to get to was 68, and maybe there was like one stomp that Roshan did, like one wave of force, which wasn't very cool. But yeah, like apart from that, there weren't too many mistakes that we did. But if we did it with like me swapping eggs for a damage item, like a crit, in between spell steals for our seconds, then we could get to like level 74. But people were scared because like it could be too much to do, and then you lose like your death pact or something, and then it's game over. Like this is obviously the biggest thing. You can't lose death pact, but at the same time you want to do your optimal damage by having every single spell up at you want to have every single spell up all the time to deal optimal damage. Oh well. It was actually really fun though when we were doing this, like, but holy fuck, it fries your Dota brain. It's like super mega nerded every shit out, dude. A lot of credit goes to Sunken and a lot of credit goes to Solus. Those guys did a lot of work in this. Solus and Sunken, those guys. Really good stuff. And that's the story of how I got my Roshans, boys.